what to expect in the real estate market once the pandemic is over. So we can make reasonably accurate estimations of what's going to happen in the marketplace, both in terms of the volume and the prices. Over the next 3 to 6 months, we need to step back and look at what's been going on in the marketplace over the months of February and March. We need to better understand the situation in the marketplace right now, and then we can say that our projections are going to be reasonably accurate. Let's step back and look at the statistics for the previous 2 months for the city of Toronto. And even though we're talking about this specific location, that will be almost equally applicable to any other place in North America, given the dynamics of what's going on. So last February in Toronto, we had an inventory of 13,284 listings. Inventory for February of 2020 was at 8,800, and this is a 33% decrease from last year. Prices in February were up and sales were brisk across the board. Last year in March, we had 15,500 active listings, and the inventory for March of 2020 is approximately 4,700. That's to be confirmed once the March report comes out, which happens in the first week of every month that follows the month that the report covers. The market has lost, in the month of March, has lost almost 70% of the inventory as compared to the same time last year. So we've reversed from what's called the buyer's market, where the supply of available listings is exceeding 6 months, in terms of the market's capacity to absorb it, to sell it, into a seller's market, where the supply of available homes is below the 6-month mark. And that happened very quickly, seemingly over the past 3 weeks. But the question is whether this is so, because a lot of the buyers are sitting on the sidelines, not sure what to do, except for 2 categories: those that have sold their homes and they have to find a place to move, and those that are running around with the pre-approvals. They seem to have the urgent need to buy, and they want to use the pre-approvals before any changes take place. So those two categories are active in the marketplace, whereas everybody else is taking wait-and-see attitude. So the market is kind of quick frozen at this time. And even when it opens up and the virus scare is over, which hopefully will happen in the next 2 to 3 months, it's unclear whether the market will start thawing. The Bank of Canada has decreased its interest rate to 0.25%. It might go down to 0. Not sure what other measures they have at their disposal, but it's a tough one. They don't have a lot of room to go down to stimulate the economy. The interest in refinancing in the United States, and I read it in one of the articles about what's happening in the US economy, has gone up by 25%. It's not clear what that number is for Canada, but if you do have that information, please leave it in the comment section below. That'd be interesting to see whether the refinancing rates or interest in refinancing has gone up in the month of March as compared to March of last year, or even to the beginning of this year. And now at this point, knowing a little bit of statistical data, knowing that the market is reversing from the buyer's market to the seller's market, presumably, let's speculate a little bit in terms of what's going to happen. How long will the real estate prices hold at the current level? You see, when the April report comes out, it will be sending us mixed messages, and that the first 2 weeks of the month of March were reasonably strong, and then there was a precipitous drop in the market activity in the last 2 weeks of the month. So when you combine those two together and you look at the combined stats, it will give us an impression that yes, the market has slowed down somewhat, but it's not a disaster zone. So the prices will most likely keep at the same level as they were in January and February of the current year. There won't be a substantial drop. The sellers are still not in the mindset of, oh, absolutely must do something now, versus waiting. Once the May report comes out, meaning the report that's coming out in May is going to cover the month of April. In the first 7 days of May, we will know what's been going on in April. April is the first month where we feeling as a society the full brunt of the government measures, as well as the impact of the pandemic on our societies. The market in April will stall to a complete halt. The numbers on a report in April will actually officialize that. When people see these official statistics, especially the sellers, they will likely start panicking. We got to sell now because the situation is deteriorating. Some people will take, again, the wait-and-see attitude, which is absolutely human. That's what Most people do. But then the big question remains whether the buyers will be interested in making purchases attracted by the lower interest rates, which, by the way, the big banks have not lowered yet. The Central Bank of Canada has dropped its interest rate to 1/4 point, but it's not necessarily reflected in the mortgages that people are able to obtain now. There are a few interesting questions that are on the table. Will the banks continue financing? Will the availability of mortgages from A lenders be there? What happens with the availability of mortgages for B lenders? What happens with the private money that a lot of people are trying to tap into for second mortgages or refinancing or investments in real estate? Will the properties appraise? Because appraisers are often concerned about where the market is heading, and the appraisal that they're going to give now may not be accurate even a week from that date. There's a lot of things that's going to be changing. We will see that in the month of April, and it will be reflected in a report that's going to come out in May. So right now there's approximately a 30-day window for all the people that are thinking about selling, a 30-day window where they can try and sell. So at least when they look back, they won't have any regrets about, oh, I haven't tried it, I decided to wait. And at the same time, if this happens, then the likelihood of you getting a much better price than you would see in the summer, in the fall, or between now and the end of the year is very high. Now, in terms of whether this is a good time to buy, there's going to be a lot of deals to be had in the next few months. So be ready for that. If you're in a position to pay cash, that's amazing. If not, then make sure that and you're thinking about buying, then make sure that you allocate enough money for the deposit and for the down payment. Get your ducks in a row with your pre-approvals with the bank. Either work through a mortgage broker, if you have direct access to an A lender, as one of the 5 Canadian banks, then approach them, get that ready. Start looking at what's happening in the marketplace, engage an agent so they can send you options that are within your price range, within the areas that you're considering, and start familiarizing yourself with what's available out there. Once the sellers get the news through the May report that things are changing very rapidly, some of them, especially those that are in a pinch, will start to panic and they will need to sell. And that's exactly the time when you as a buyer will need to act. You have your pre-approval ready, or you have your cash ready, you have an agent, you have some properties that you've already looked at that most likely are still going to be sitting on the market. The sales have dropped significantly. And this is your time to act. This is the time to submit offers, and you can be very aggressive with the offers because you're really not sure what the sellers are going to be willing to accept. So you can start playing that game in about a month's time. And the answer to the question of whether this is a good time to buy, well, almost. Just start getting ready and it will be a good time to buy in about a month's time. I covered the question of whether this is a good time to sell kind of in a roundabout way before, and we were talking about the prices and how long the prices will hold. So it seems that the sellers that need to sell will have an opportunity of doing that without compromising on their pricing expectations over the period of the next 30 days. At the same time, if you're not thinking about selling and you refinanced your home a while ago, look at the home value right now. And you can try and refinance at this time. Again, I would say that there's a sense of urgency with this. And you can do this for at least one of 2 reasons. If you are interested in using the weakness in the market in the months to come, then you'll have the money to invest. And that could be a great opportunity. In fact, for some people, life-changing opportunity to increase their net worth in 2020. And the second way of looking at things is this. If for some reason you have concerns over the availability of your income between now and the end of the year, refinancing now will give you that stash of cash in case you happen to fall on hard times. So either way, if you refinance, you win. Well, guys, thank you for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, hit the like button, consider subscribing, hit the notification bell so you guys don't miss any new releases of videos just like this. Leave your comments in the comment section below. They would always be appreciated. I can improve my game and deliver better and more relevant information for you every single week. Stay well, take care of your families, act now because the window of opportunity is very short, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week.